Nope.
No.
And we are off and running with the countdown back in the podcast booth. It's been a little while for us. A lot of things been going on. Obviously, summer events and spring events and stuff like that. I am Joel Rather here with Jason Hirsch. And we have a guest today from our friends at Pnuma. Scott Peerman is with us today. We're excited to talk to Scott. Obviously, anytime we can talk about Pnuma gear, we've been doing a lot of that this summer and kind of spreading the word. We just did a couple giveaways from Pnuma, which is awesome, and trying to get more people kind of involved and letting them know about what they're missing out on. So, Scott, how are you today?
I'm great, guys. How are you doing?
We're good.
We're hanging in there.
Yeah.
No, it's been good. All the events that we've had this summer, we've been wearing our Pnuma gear and gotten a lot of questions and actually seeing some more people wearing it. You guys have been doing a great job of getting the word out social media wise. So credit to your marketing team. Every time I scroll Facebook, it's literally the first ad I see. It's either Facebook or Instagram. It's literally the first ad I see. So you guys are making a push, and we've been proud to wear your gear for the last couple of seasons out in the field, and it's been awesome, especially for me being a tall hunter. You guys making tall gear for tall guys.
Yeah.
I call us normal human beings. But it's been a phenomenal partnership over the last couple of years. So we're happy to have you here.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. And we're happy to have you guys as well representing our brand. It's been a great relationship for the past couple of years, and hope to continue and keep pushing Pnuma.
Yeah, most definitely. Well, let's start with kind of your journey. We talked a little bit before the show. You and I actually met. I was lucky enough that we played a lacrosse game in my other job, and we were down in Fort Worth, and at that time I had contacted it wouldn't have been Jen, it was before Jen, and said, hey, I'm going to be in town, and you and there was two or three of you guys came out, and probably I'm guessing maybe your first lacrosse game ever. So
Definitely, that was a new experience, but it was very cool. I'm pretty sure y'all won that game. Y'all beat the Dallas team pretty good, but I
don't remember.
It was interesting nonetheless. It was fun.
Yeah, so it's
first time you see an indoor lacrosse game, it definitely throws you. I remember the first time was here in Denver, and you guys were playing. Was it Buffalo? And they were wearing all white, and that big fat goalie that you guys used to have, Alex something.
Bouquet.
Yeah. It just I was like, dude, there's Big Hero 6. Like Baymax is in goal, and just the whole dynamic of guys running on and off the field. And I think once you get accustomed to it, you get to figure out the game pretty quickly, and then you just look for the violence. Yeah, it is a very violent game.
Yeah.
It was surprising how much it reminded me of hockey, just without the skates and the ice part.
Right.
Yeah.
Very
exactly. Cool. Yeah, exactly. So Scott, tell us a little bit about yourself. What do you do at Pnuma? And we'll start talking about some of the things. A lot of new things have come out here recently, but let's start kind of with your role and what you do with Pnuma, and then we'll kind of get into some other stuff.
Absolutely. So I started in Pnuma roughly 2 years ago as just a customer service guy. I started out answering questions and phone calls, which I still do that to this day, but that was kind of my intro to Pnuma, just talking about gear and talking about different hunts that people were going to go on and how I could help them get the right gear for that. As kind of time has progressed and I've been working with the company, I've been moved up into the manager role of customer service for Heated Core and Pnuma, and loved my job, get to talk to people about hunting all day, and my passion is in the outdoors, so I can't think of a better job for myself.
Yeah, that's kind of what we want to do more of.
Yeah, like be in the outdoors, not be stuck in this facility.
Yeah, so we the last couple 2 Well, a month or so for us has been kind of nice because we feel like we've been a little more integrated. We had Western Hunt Fest, which
Very
has been awesome. And then last weekend we were actually at Total Archery Challenge. So it was nice to feel a little bit more integrated into that world over the last month or so. And now
We got Full Draw tonight.
and then, we'll be actually
Very
at
cool.
Full Draw Film Tour tonight, which is here in Denver, which should be a good time. Have you ever went to one of those?
I've never been to one of those. We actually were at TAC San Antonio this year, so we
Yeah.
set up a booth, did that, got to see all the shooters and all that good stuff. But have not been to the film festival thing yet. Definitely would like to get into that and start kind of broadening their horizons as far as what all these different little expos and all that stuff that they do.
Yeah, there's a lot of them for sure, and I
Absolutely.
think what we've come to find out is it's difficult to carve out enough time to hit them all. I mean, we're supposed to have another archery shoot in like 2 more weeks with our friends at Kuchara, and I'm like looking at the calendar, going like, oh man, how are we gonna fit that one in? I don't know
And
if
the death hike.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And then we should get you guys involved in that. We've got about a 33-mile death hike coming
ridiculous.
up in August.
I saw the plans and I rolled my eyes and went, "You got to be kidding me!"
Yeah. So if you're feeling froggy, you can come up and hang out with us in August. It's going to get a little western.
Where's this going to be at?
Up in the up near we'll call it Steamboat, west of Steamboat.
Gotcha.
And it's about 10 to 14 guys, and we are going to hit the trail at about 3:45 in the morning.
Yep.
Wow.
And the goal
Try and
is
hammer out like 25 miles the first day or something like
20,
that.
I think it's 21 miles the first
Yeah.
day to get to a lake where apparently we're going to collapse would be.
We're gonna collapse and maybe throw a line in the water if we have the energy to do so.
Yeah, exactly.
Your legs
That's
aren't
extra
jello.
weight.
That's right.
Yeah.
Like crawl to the water's edge.
So, but that'll be exciting. So, but anyway, well, cool. So was that your first Total Archery Challenge that you'd been to?
So we did it last year as well, TAC San Antonio. I'm thinking next year, because we've done the San Antonio one now 2 years in a row, we were kind of thinking about broadening horizons and going to a few different ones just to kind of get the word past Texas. But it's a great time. I've gotten to shoot the little 3D archery courses that they have once or twice and lost a lot of arrows, but hey, got to start somewhere, right?
That's tack.
That's tack.
That's tack. I only lost one arrow this year. I was super pumped
that's
about
good.
that. But I'll tell you what,
really
I took a lot of shots that I got stupid lucky on.
Yeah.
Like, the one shot, I posted it on our Instagram page. There was a gap about that wide to hit the target, and then next to it there was a tree that had a gap about that wide. I shot that gap. Not intentionally, but it worked.
Yeah.
So I got lucky on a whole bunch of shots this year.
I did not. So
Yeah, that was me.
yeah, but it's a lot of fun and definitely just the community and everyone that's there. And I know probably three years ago, I think 3 years ago, Pnuma was at a few more shows and we actually linked up with the team. They came to Colorado, and so we were fortunate enough. We actually did a podcast at the event with you guys. If you haven't seen that one, it's probably still on our page here. But cool. Well, you got to check out some more stuff. We got to get you guys involved in more things and in front of more people. So, because I think the more that we talk to people and the more that we kind of let them know what Pnuma is about, and just the small things. I think that the stuff that we try to let people know about is just the sizing and the lifetime guarantee, and just the comprehensive line from base layer all the way up to late season stuff, and then obviously we can talk about the heated core line as well.
I mean, I think for me the sizing was the selling point initially.
Absolutely.
The quality of the gear was let's just say my options are extremely limited. I'm 6'8". So having gear that fits is hard to come by. So sometimes I'm like, well, I have to buy this because it's the only thing that fits.
Absolutely.
The quality of the gear on top of that made it even more attractive to me. The pricing, the quality, and obviously the fit and finish of everything was my selling point. And that to me, I maybe I hit the lottery in that regard. Finding you guys, it actually ended up. I had a mutual friend from professional baseball that had known the guys that were running the company at the time, and they got me connected, and I ended up buying a set of gear from the outlet store because I wasn't really ready to fully commit, but I could. I think I dropped $80 on a pair of Waypoint pants, or I don't remember what. Were they Waypoint or?
Waypoint.
And I put them on the first day. I was like, well, sweet. My ankles are covered. The waist fits well. I've got, the fit and finish of it felt great. It wasn't heavy. I was like, this is perfect. And then that started the downward spiral of buying Pnuma gear and then eventually getting hooked up with you guys. But yeah. But like I said, for me, it was the fit because the industry just doesn't make stuff for guys like me. Their long, we'll put it in quotations, long pant is like 34.5 inches. And I'm like, that's not long. That's a standard size. So that was a huge selling point for me. And then getting to know everybody at Pnuma just made it more comfortable for us and want us to be part of that community.
That's awesome. Yeah. Like you were saying, I'm just going to go a little bit off of that tall sizing. Yeah. Like you were saying, the tall sizes, most of the people we talk to, they're like, hey, in my tall size, I'd fit in, I'm 6 foot, 6'1", and it's like, no, we're serious when we're talking about tall sizes. Like 6'3", 6'4", and up is like our target point, and it's an uncaptured market. Nobody goes after it, and it's like there's still plenty of people who are in that taller bracket that need to wear good gear. And at the end of the day, that's what we're all about at Pnuma. We don't want to just sell you gear and sever ties right there and say have a good one. That's what comes along with that lifetime warranty, and we want you to just have good fitting gear that you're going to rely on and that you're going to want to hunt in day in and day out. So
I mean, I wear it just around the house too. Like if I'm doing yard work or whatever, I'll throw the pants on and or a shirt or when I go walk my dog. I think one of my early pieces that I had was the heated core gear and the merino hoodie, which is my favorite piece of gear that you guys make. And I used to walk my dog around the lake when it was snowing, and all I would have on is my heated core gear and my hoodie, and I was warm. And it was, that's like, people looking at me like I'm crazy. I'm like, dude, I'm toasty. I don't know what you guys so cold. I don't understand that.
Yeah, it's nice too because like you mentioned the Gunnison and Waypoint. Like we've also made a push lately with a lot of more solid options that you can just wear as lifestyle, and instead of just having to put on that camo when you might not want to. But that's our goal, man. We want to have comfortable fitting gear that people want to wear. It's not just something that we're partnered with you guys and y'all are just wearing it because like we love the fact that y'all actually do love the gear and y'all want to help us promote it and all that. So can't thank you guys enough.
We'll be in Pnuma full force tonight at Full Draw. I got the Pathfinder pan out, which we were at TAC last weekend, and I was like, I think I have to get at least one more pair because I just wear these all the freaking time. Like anything we do in terms of scouting, going out, even like tonight, just an event where it's just a comfortable pant, that solid color.
Absolutely.
So
and then we just came out with a gray and a green too.
That's what I'm talking about. So let's talk about that. Like, I think, this spring we kind of meshed up with Katie and Jen, who work in-house there, and they've been awesome. I kind of gave them a wish list, and they're like, okay. And last year, unfortunately, we learned the hard way that we really should have had our Pnuma rain gear, and it rained like 4 out of 5 or 6
it was a wet one.
7 or 8 days that we were elk hunting, and so this year we will be fully prepared with that. But I know at that time we were kind of going through and just as we had that conversation, Jen was like, we got some new stuff coming. So let's talk a little bit about the line. Let's talk about some of the new things that just came out. I'm super pumped about the solids piece because, as Jason said, it's nice to be able to wear good gear and apparel and stuff like that, even if you're not going into the woods. And so talk a little bit about some of the new stuff that you guys just launched this spring.
Absolutely. So I want to say 4 or 5, maybe 6 items that we just launched. So first one would be our Renegade pants. So if you're familiar with the Renegade series, we have a
Yep.
quarter zip, a short sleeve, and a long sleeve. It's kind of modeled after those shirts, extremely lightweight. It's going to be the lightest weight pant that we've come out with so far. And so if you are hunting a lot during early season, or you're in an area like Texas where I'm at, where it's already 110, it feels like every day here.
Yeah.
That's a great pant that we've never had before as far as that weight. Even the Pathfinder's a little bit heavier than that pant, and so that's going to be our lightest weight pant that we've ever released to this date. In addition, we also came out with the Renegade hoodie. So that's kind of once again modeled after that
Oh,
short
nice.
sleeve, that quarter zip,
Yeah.
in the pants. The Renegade hoodie is it's made of the same polyester material, but it's a little bit more vented. It kind of has like I don't know how to describe it. It's got these like little neat little knitted parts in it that are basically supposed to be better breathable. It has a kangaroo pocket in the front, much like that Gunnison hoodie you're talking about
Right.
that you
It's
like.
my
So
favorite part.
yeah, so that's something you might have to get, and also it comes with a hoodie as well. So to me, it's kind
Nice.
of like that Gunnison hoodie, just without the insulation part. It's very, very lightweight,
Right.
moisture
Yeah.
wicking.
I'm a
Yeah,
huge fan of that. That Renegade, you know, I last year was kind of the first year running that, and he's more of the hoodie guy. I'm more of like the quarter zip guy, and
yeah,
so I ran that Renegade quarter zip last year, and I mean, it's just awesome just because of the breathability. It
absolutely.
is a little bit lighter where, the merino is great, but you go out in the morning, and if, it's chilly in the morning, it's awesome. And then you get into that like mid morning time in September and
Yep.
you just start sweating. And so I kind of like
Absolutely.
almost like compare and contrasted those last year, where like I'd wear the merino, and then I'd kind of alternate and I'd go into that Renegade, and I found that I was a lot cooler wearing that Renegade on day 2 and 4 and whatever. And so
Yeah,
I'm excited to maybe check out that Renegade pan as well, because I think that here in Colorado especially, it's like we could wake up in the morning and I mean
It'll be 30 degrees and
Yeah.
then warm up to 70
yeah,
by the
exactly.
afternoon. And you're peeling
Yeah,
layers off, shoving them in your bag. And yeah,
Right.
I mean, at the end of the day, I'm wearing it or I'm carrying it. It's one of the two,
Right.
right?
absolutely. Yeah, that pant's going to be great for a lot of spot and stalk elk hunts, where, like y'all are saying, it warms up
Right.
a lot during the day. And if you're moving, creating your own body heat already, literally, I think you could probably be able to get away with just wearing a merino base layer along with those Renegade pants. And as long as the temperature's not below like 40 degrees or something like that, I would think that you'd be fine. But
Yeah.
I mean, even still, I like to dress a little lighter just because I know
yeah,
once I start walking, I'm gonna get hot. And if
absolutely.
I'm bundled up like I'm sitting there, I'm not much of a sitter. I'm more of I like to walk, get my steps in. I got to get that 10,000 steps in a day type deal. I like to, once I start moving, it's the same thing with my hands. Like I don't put big, thick, heavy gloves on. I had the Recon glove that I've run for the last couple of years. And it's light enough that it keeps my hands warm in the morning, and then I can just pull it off, mid morning or when I start walking and getting hot. I can feel my hands starting to sweat, and then I'll be good for the rest of the day. But it's just that initial chill that we gotta worry about, because you get up in the morning at 4 o'clock or 3:30 or whatever it is, and you don't want to get out of your sleeping bag because it's warm and comfy, and so you start
Yeah,
piling layers on because you want to feel like you're in your sleeping bag, and then you start walking, and it's like you're sitting in a sauna. It's
Yeah.
like, all right, I
you're
gotta, I
slowly
gotta, I gotta
taking it off.
think more logically here.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But
So,
yeah, sorry, just continuing on with
yep.
the new gear. I forgot to mention. So the Renegade hoodie. I think the coolest part about the Renegade hoodie is that we also have an integrated face mask now with it. It kind of comparable
Yeah.
to other hoodies and lightweight gear that's out there. And you can actually stow that away if not interested in wearing it. You can tuck it behind your head to where
For
it's
sure.
never in your way or anything. We also came out with a belt. It's pretty standard, like little loop belt. We have a Pathfinder web belt, and it's going to come in
Nice.
2 different colors. So that's first ever belt that we've had that I know of. I don't think that we've ever had a belt, and so
No, I don't think so. I
just kind
definitely
of
have to check that
continuing.
out. Is
Yeah,
that a
It's a flat belt, I'm
is that a
assuming,
flat
right?
belt?
yeah, it's a flat belt. It's like it's not leather. It's like, like that utility kind of,
Yeah.
Right, like
I
a
want to say it's
nylon fabric.
polyester, nylon, exactly.
Right.
It's kind of a tactical style belt that has
Yep.
a loop that goes in and then out to the other side, and you can pull it tight to where there's not
Yeah.
specific holes where you could be in between one or the other. You can,
Yeah.
cinch it down to
I
where
think,
it
and
fits.
like, I think the thing that you find too is like, as nominal as that sounds, I have battled with belts and trying to find the right belt for like 5 years.
Yeah.
And
Well,
so
and,
I
and
definitely
when
want
you
to,
wear a frame pack where you've got a big hip belt, if you've got a thicker, kind of obtrusive belt on your pants, trying to hold your pants up, that cinches down onto your hips and restricts blood flow. So the flatter the belt or the lighter weight the belt, the less intrusive that becomes when you're putting that hip belt on.
yeah. Well, and it's like this infighting going on with your waistline too, because like you have to have a belt on, or it's like that hip belt starts actually like pushing my pants down.
Yeah.
And so, and if it's too thick, then it's like digging into you, and you're constantly fighting with it. Like even last weekend, like I noticed the belt that I was wearing, because you're moving and whatever else, it kind of is a loop through, and it kept just getting loose. So then once it got loose, then my waistline and my pant kind of wanted to keep pushing down.
Little plumber's crack on the tack course.
Yeah, plumber's crack at tack. So I definitely am wanting to test that out, because that's, like you said, as nominal as that sounds, a good belt on a hunt, especially when you have a pack on and everything else, is like, it's hard to find. So hopefully you guys knock that one out of the park. That would be a huge help.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, we need to get some sent over to you guys. Also, like each individual company has their own size belt loops too, and so it's nice that we finally have our own that is modeled after our size belt loops too, to where I've heard of people saying that certain belts don't fit our gear, depending on what third party belt they're using, and so it's just a Pnuma belt that goes with all the Pnuma gear, and so if you're into Pnuma gear, it's another thing that you should
have
to
it, right?
You gotta have it.
Yes,
exactly.
So
can't wear a third-party belt. What is this?
craziness?
Come on, it's crazy.
So and so there's a few other items too. I know you guys came out with the Alpha Vertex pant, guide coat. So maybe hit on those, because I know I'm a huge fan. Like, I run pretty hot, and last year I ran the Alpha Vertex. I just go with the vest. I'm always immediately hot, so I just go with the vest, and that thing was a game changer. But also now adding the Alpha Vertex pant for that kind of like mid-season, talk about a few of those other items too.
Gotcha. So yeah, we did just come out with we call it the Garrison. It's kind of our guide style jacket, very similar to the Alpha Vertex, but without that insulation that is present in the Alpha. So I'm sure there were some days where you're wearing your vest even, and you're like, man, this is pretty warm. The Alpha Vertex is amazingly, for how thick it is, it's really insulated, 100 grams of PrimaLoft insulation, and it's windproof as well. The Garrison jacket is just a step below that. It's going to be windproof as well. It's not going to have that exposed fleece liner, and so it's going to be really for those guys that are in the field every day, moving around a whole lot, that don't need that insulation, or you just don't get cold that often. It's going to be that lightweight shell jacket that we offer, that, once again, we've never really had. It's always kind of been a hole in our lineup. And then also, it's the first time we've ever come out with a black color. And it also kind of leads into our shooting shirts, which we have a black color for that. And we actually came out with a 2.0 shooting shirt. Our first shooting shirts were great. I didn't mind them at all. They were super lightweight and super breathable. But I like this material that we have on our 2.0s. It's a little bit more of like a four-way stretch fabric. It's a lot more like some of these other companies you're seeing out there, like say Burlebo and Poncho and stuff like that. So it's more on par with some of those new and hot companies that are out there that are selling that kind of stuff.
How does the Garrison compare? I have a Waypoint jacket, which I absolutely love, as like a shell piece to go over the top of everything else. Where does that new Garrison fall in line, or where does my Waypoint fall in line with the new Garrison jacket?
Yeah, so your Waypoint, the Selkirk, and the Palisade are always going to be your outer layer most layers for your insulated layering system. So
Hmm.
the Garrison, I would kind of maybe not put that in the insulated category. That's more falling with our lightweight gear, like our Pathfinder, our Brush Guard, our Pursuit, um, Renegade, all that kind of stuff. That's going to fall more into that category. If you were to wear it as a shell, it's going to be more of a standalone or like uh, um, maybe a base layer or a mid layer that you could layer over it if you'd like.
Gotcha.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, you touched on the puffy. That is my second favorite piece of gear. My
Absolutely.
wife, I can't keep that one off my wife because when she walks the dog in the wintertime, it's always hanging on the coat rack, and
The
she
little hook.
always puts it on. And I'm
Yeah.
like, "Do you want your own? I'll just get you your own. Like,
Yeah.
you know, we'll find a size that fits because it's very warm, it's lightweight, it's packable.
Yep.
That has
Absolutely.
become another go-to piece, especially for those colder temperatures.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love the Palisade. That's the warmest jacket we offer by far. When it first came out, I got my hands on it and I wanted to wear it a lot at our warehouse during winter. And there were some days that I messed up and had salt stains on the outside of the jacket. I'm like, I gotta take this off.
You got to
It's too
remember you're in
hot.
Texas; it doesn't get that cold.
Yeah.
I'm not
Right.
in Colorado.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, living in Colorado, it's kind of like the go-to piece of outerwear is a
For
puffy.
sure.
Yeah.
If you don't have a puffy, you're not a Coloradan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's
Exactly.
pretty standard fare. So, like I said, that puffy for me is my go-to.
Well, and
Yeah.
the beauty of that is it essentially just packs into itself.
Right.
And so,
Comes
you
with a
pack
stuffed
that thing.
sack.
Yeah.
It gets down pretty small.
and it's like this big, So
Yeah.
like for us this year, stylistically, we've done everything from like the glamping style hunt where it's like 16 by 20 outfitter tent. We've got the grill. We've got the wood
stove,
the-
yeah.
Cooler,
We've got
everything. Yeah.
everything under the sun, and you get back to camp and you're pretty comfortable. And then you fast forward and like look at what our plan is for this year. It's going to be like whatever fits in my pack is what I'm going to have, and that includes
Absolutely.
a tent. That includes all of my gear and whatever clothes I bring and food.
Yeah,
and
ounces matter
filtration.
now.
Yeah, and so it's like
They do.
we've kind of had this like slow burn into this hunt that we're going to do this year, where it's been an accumulation where it's like, well, we need this and we're going to need that and we're going to need this, and it's like all of those little pieces where now like I need to have the puffy, I need to have the rain gear, I need to have my kind of lightweight, midweight, and all that stuff, so that whatever we come up against we'll be prepared for. And as he said, I'm not packing in 5 extra pounds for big heavy gear that number one doesn't perform very well, and number two I got to carry every freaking where I go. So
Absolutely. Yeah, you definitely want to have gear that you're bringing in that it's lightweight. The Palisade, once again, it's perfect for that. Those packing out hunts. Even compared to the Waypoint and the Selkirk, it packs down so much smaller than those items. That if you're on those day long hunts or you're camping and you're out in the sticks, 30, 40 miles, you got to have lightweight gear, and like you said, you don't want to be carrying extra pounds around that you don't need to unless it's serving a purpose for your pack.
100%. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
like honestly, I just in saying that, like I'm thinking about it, I'm like, that really probably pushes my Selkirk a little bit over to the side, because I'm like,
It
the
can.
Selkirk is awesome, and I'm like, this last year or two or whatever, like for us, the Selkirk, because we don't do a lot of tree stand hunting and stuff like that wintertime.
We're not sitters.
No, we're not
Yeah.
sitters. It's become like my go-to for waterfowling.
Yep.
Like
Yeah,
when we
absolutely.
are actually sitting, like that coat is money for waterfowling.
I have heard that, and it has that waterproof barrier, and so waterfowl it works great for. I've definitely heard that before. It's also kind of nice, like, so most of the people that we talk to on a daily basis, they're not the type of guys like y'all are, where y'all are going out there and I don't know how often y'all are sitting on hunts for more than a day or two, but that's why the Selkirk and the Waypoint exists, is because most of the hunters that we do talk to are just going out there for the day, and so those pieces of gear do serve their purpose for what they're meant for. But
For
when
sure.
it comes to like that extra, packing out, and you're going to be stalking elk or something like that, there's a little bit of a different mindset when it comes to thinking of that type of gear versus just going out there for a few hours sitting in a blind and then coming back home.
Right. Well, and I think
Yeah.
that's the beauty of it too, as we kind of started by talking about, you know, the Merinos and the Renegades, and, you know, you just kind of working your way. It's like the Pursuit pant, which has become like my favorite, the Pursuit and the Pathfinder pant for September, in scouting and stuff like that. And then, you know, you work your way into more of the Alpha Vertex and, you know, a Selkirk or whatever. It's like, regardless of the kind and type and style of hunting that you do, you know, you guys have something that's going to fit every single one of those, that you know, you're not going to be like, oh, well, I'm only going to buy one pair of pants, or, you know, this is the only option that I have. Like, you have everything from that early to mid to late season covered for,
and you can mix and match however, whatever your comfort level is.
Yeah. And he's usually a lot colder than me, so it's like, I run hot.
I got longer limbs. Takes a little bit longer for that blood to get out to those extremities.
Long ways to go.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's one thing you do notice in my position. Talk to a lot of different guys. Some people are really cold natured. Some people are really hot natured. Talked to a guy not too long ago that was telling me he was getting ready to go on a Alaskan hunt in negative temperatures, and all he wanted to bring with him was like some Pursuit pants and a Renegade. And I was like, You're nuts, dude. Like, it's crazy how there are so many differences among like what you can mix and match to get to this temperature. I tell a lot of people on the phone, like, if you have a full setup, or if you have, say, 5 or 6 of our pieces, you can kind of just play with it. It's almost like Legos a little bit. It's like, you know, you can step outside in the morning and decide, hey, I'm going to try this on. Is this work? And then if it works, great. And if it doesn't, it's like, okay, hey, let me try this one now. And you'll find your sweet spots at your temperatures, especially if you're hunting in the same zones and regions a lot. You'll be like, okay, I need this for this temperature range, and I need this for that. So.
Yeah, and I know my upper body gets way colder than my lower body, so I typically don't wear a lot of heavy stuff down low.
Yeah.
But up top, I'll have I'll have 3 or 4 layers up top, and I'll have, you know, a base layer and just a waypoint or another light pant down low, because I know that my legs just don't get cold.
No.
Yep.
Yeah. We actually posted a picture. I'm pretty sure he tagged you guys. So our friends from the Bow Hitch, who are down in New Mexico, we run the Bow Hitch, which is a phenomenal tool. It's like, if you don't have one of these, just like side note, like, it's the best thing you can possibly put on your bow to be
short plug to Mondo,
hands free. To our buddy Mondo.
Hey guys, Joel here. Just taking a quick break from today's podcast to say thank you to our friends at Pnuma. Not only do we love Pnuma gear, we appreciate the support they've given us over the past couple years and how amazing their gear is that we've been able to utilize out in the field. It's been absolutely awesome. And we want to pass along some of those savings to you guys by giving you our exclusive H3O discount code. Use the code H3O20 at checkout. Save 20% off your entire first order. That's right, 20%. Now, go to PnumaOutdoors.com/hunt hike harvest and take advantage of this today. Lifetime guarantee on all of Pnuma's gear, which means they're always going to support you if anything should go wrong or fail with their gear, and you know you're going to get your money and value out of that gear. While you guys are at it, please like and subscribe to our page. We would greatly appreciate it. Go check out some of our other reviews, some of our other podcasts on our page, and be sure to leave your comments, questions, or anything else about any of our videos, including today's episode. We greatly appreciate that, and we're happy to interact with you guys. So thank you again. Now, let's get back to the show, and we hope you enjoy the rest of today's episode.
Pretty sure our store, Los Cazadores, so our brick and mortar store, I work for Pnuma, but we have we're all under a holding company, and there's a few different branches. Los Cazadores is a brick and mortar store that we sell hunting blinds, all that kind of stuff. We actually do sell the Bow Hitch out of that store, and so it's a very neat piece. It holds your bow to where you're not carrying it around the whole day. And
it's amazing.
It's a game changer.
It's hands free. It's all in your pack, on your hips. Like, I wore it at TAC the whole day. I'm like, dude, this is the greatest thing ever.
Yeah. So
TAC that's huge for TAC. Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
So I go over to the booth, and Mondo's business partner, I look and I'm like, oh, hey. And he was wearing the Pursuit pant, the zip off.
That's
and
awesome.
So I was like, bro, we got to get a picture. I was like, I had the Pursuit pant on, just the regular, and he had the zip offs on, and we tagged you guys on those, which is I've always kind of wondered, like what the reception on those are, because like I can't ever figure out when I would take them on or off.
Like the convertible short pant.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But like I saw, it was hot up there, and he was like, "Well, I'm just gonna zip these off," and I was like,
It's kind of like the mullet of pants, right? It's like, party
it
in
really
the front
is.
or business in the front, party in the back. It's
Right.
like, well, it's
Yeah.
cold. I'm going to leave my pant leggings on, but now the fun's going on. I'm going to go ahead and take them off so I can have
Yeah.
a little more freedom.
That's
Exactly.
funny.
I think it's like the perfect tack party pant. You shoot in the morning with the full pants, right? And then when you're drinking beers in the afternoon, that's when you take it to the
Yeah.
mullet.
Yeah, when you get back and you're sweating your butt off, and you're like, God,
Exactly.
I got to let these puppies breathe a little bit.
Yeah. I was envious there for a little bit for sure. I was like,
Yeah, it was like 80 degrees up there,
right.
Yeah.
So
and that was
No, the
cool.
the Pursuit zip-offs are great. We actually, it's funny that y'all mentioned that. We are seeing that there is some struggle of people discerning whether it's like, when is the time to wear it or not.
well, now you got me excited. I'm gonna wait once those hit the outlet. I might be on that.
Exactly. They should be on there soon if they're not already. I want to say they might be.
I'll have to take a look.
Yeah. But anyway.
So the Pnuma Pursuit zip-off pant is in the outlet for $80,
This is good to
Yeah.
know.
and
know.
it's ordered.
Yeah. So that's awesome.
I got a question about gloves.
Yep.
Any chance that you guys are working on a more insulated glove for, obviously you have, the Waypoint glove, you have the Recon glove, which I really like. But when I go duck hunting and I'm sitting in the blind and it's, 10 degrees outside, I could certainly use a little more insulation than just those two. So is there
Absolutely.
any options for a heavier style glove coming?
Yeah, it's funny that you bring that up, and I'm gonna say it. I might get in trouble with my people back at Pnuma.
Oh,
but,
breaking news.
Breaking
yeah,
news.
breaking news here. So, so we have the Waypoint gloves, the
Recon.
Recon gloves, and we have the Ranch gloves.
Oh yeah.
None of those are really insulated that much. The Waypoint's supposed to be the warmest ones that we have currently. I'm sure you guys are aware that they're not very insulated.
No, it's a fairly thin piece of leather.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Or like a glove layering system. That would be nice too. Like where you've got like a Recon, right, which is a merino base, and then a heavier one that I can put on when the temps drop below what I'm comfortable with.
Absolutely. At one time, we did offer some like glove liners, I want to say, but they were really thin, and people would put holes in them pretty easily. And so I do think that that's something that we're talking about, is where it's kind of like you could layer up with your gloves, but just not quite there yet. But
Yeah.
we got a lot of things in the works, so
We'll wait patiently.
Patiently.
absolutely. I had a question for you guys.
Sure.
So I'm
The tables have
Pnuma
turned.
So Pnuma had asked me to do a podcast, kind of start my own thing for Pnuma and start interviewing people and stuff like that. How did y'all start the podcast, and what got y'all into it?
That's a great question. Well, so the building that we are currently sitting in is our other business as well, where we do all of our training and
Called Fast Performance.
correct.
FastColorado.com for the listeners.
Y'all do the training there and like the gym stuff. I looked at y'all's Instagram a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So Joel's a strength coach by trade, and I'm a baseball player by trade. And years ago, we joined forces where I was running baseball development programs, and then sending my kids off, to get strength work at Joel's gym, and then we decided to bring everything under one roof, which is where we're currently sitting now.
yeah.
And then I'll let you take over from
Yeah,
there.
so it was when we moved into this building. Our building is about 12,000 square feet, and so obviously a large portion of that is where we do our training and that type of thing. We have some offices. We have a massage therapist and a nutritionist and a sports psychologist, and we actually have a conference room where we do educational stuff. And it just so happened that the room that we were sitting in, we were like, what are we going to do with this room? And as luck would have it, this little thing called COVID hit. And
Is that luck? I don't know if that's luck, because we
that
opened
was-
our business in February of 2020.
Yeah, that was
Oh,
sarcasm at a very
And
high level.
and immediately shut down 2 months later.
Yeah. So essentially what happened is we looked at this room and you know, I don't know if it was, I won't take credit or anything, as kind of collectively between all of us were like, well, we should build this out into a media room. You know, we've always had an emphasis on education. We've always had an emphasis on trying to, you know, generate content, and, you know, just in the day and age of where all of this stuff is in terms of either growing your brand or visibility or marketing or whatever that looks like. And so this room, I mean, we've got soundproofing on the sides, and we kind of built this back wall up, and it just became something where we pieced this together to what you see today. And we've actually, between either being on podcasts, or we run one on our performance side, and then obviously we run this one through the H3O side, it was just kind of a feeling out process, and we really had no idea.
We also have a lot of friends and connections in the industry that are fairly famous people. And so during COVID, when we couldn't train anybody, we decided, well, let's just talk to these people and build out episodes based around, you know, certain things, right? Whether you're talking to another strength coach, you're talking to a professional athlete, we're talking to, you know, hunters, we're talking to, you know, industry professionals. And since we couldn't train anybody, we figured we might as well just put a bunch of stuff in the can and slowly release it over time. And then when things opened back up and we started training, the podcasting side of it kind of slipped a little bit as we were trying to get the business going again so that we could stay in this building. And so now we do podcasts, you know, when we can get our friends on, or, you know, our colleagues. You know, everybody's got busy schedules, obviously, but there's literally, if we turn the camera around, there's literally a laundry list of the who's who of, you know, the strength and conditioning industry or professional sports or whatever it might be that we know. That we want to get on a podcast and have discussions and just conversations, you know. And, you know, on the H3O side, we've had guys from, you know, like yourself from Pnuma, to my buddy Alex Hars, who summited Everest. We did a 3-part series on his training and preparation, and then obviously his eventual summit of Everest. You know, we've had guides on, we've had, you know,
Jason Phelps.
Yeah, we've had any number of the industry professionals that, that we feel like people would want to hear from. You know, they're obviously, you know, the podcasting market is, you know, immensely saturated. So, you know, just the idea that these guys would actually even just give us the time of day or even answer an email was phenomenal. But the fact that they're willing to come on our podcast and have a conversation with us, you know, being little old us type deal, was awesome. And, you know, that's the one thing we found in this industry, this outdoor industry, is just the friendliness and outgoing that we see that we don't get in our other lines of work. You know, Joel is the strength coach, me as a baseball guy, where, you know, people in our industry are more interested in slinging mud and throwing arrows than to sit down and have conversations about, you know, various topics or even differences of opinion. And so that's kind of how the podcast itself initially got started. And then now, you know, when we have friends that want to come on, or, you know, there's somebody we just met and we're like, hey, that's a really interesting story, we'd love to get you on a podcast and talk about it. You know, that's kind of how it's progressed, where it's not just, you know, anybody to do it, but it's people that we feel like have great stories or great conversations that we can have online.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Very cool. Yeah, it's kind of like right when COVID started, y'all found a way to, it's like, keep putting out
we had to do something
content. While also, and then it kind of died off COVID, and then it's like you get back into the training regimen and all that. But it's awesome.
Yeah,
you know,
we're not ones to just sit around on our thumbs and wait for stuff to happen. We like to make sure that we've got a lot of irons in the fire just in case.
For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Always have a backup plan.
Yeah.
That's it.
So
that applies outdoors as well.
Yeah. And then I spent some time after college up in Vail, Colorado. So I took a job right out of college at Four Seasons Vail, and had a blast up there. Colorado's so beautiful. Yeah. Can't complain.
And you left?
Yeah, unfortunately I did. Vail was very limited on housing. couldn't have
You
my
mean
car up there.
expense limited as an
Yeah.
AKA
Yeah.
expensive.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
if
our
you're
other
living up
business
there.
partner, the third head of this trio, ran ski and snowboard Vail for like 25 years.
Very
So
cool.
a lot of
Yeah.
the alpine athletes that you see in the Olympics and stuff are people that he's worked with, and he does a lot of our data science stuff when we start doing things like the pack out challenge, where you're wearing heart rate monitors and collecting data and things like that, and trying to figure out what altitude training looks like, because I mean that's at the core of what H3O is.
Yeah.
We are trying to bring a science-based approach to training for the outdoors, not a we'll call it a CrossFit box type deal, or just a general strength program, but more specific style of training where it's functional for what you're doing. Or you might have deficiencies, like I've got bad knees, so I have to train in a different style than somebody else might, than Joel might, right? Joel's got a bad back, so he's got to train in a different way that I would train.
it.
So it's bringing that idea of a data-driven, science-backed approach to strength and conditioning for the outdoor hunter.
Absolutely. And targeting muscles that are going to help you rather than just, bench pressing and curling.
Right. I
and
mean,
stuff. That's
the
not gonna
beach
do
body
anything
is the beach body is great. You
Yeah.
look great, but
Yeah.
and we've seen it in the pack out challenge, which we do at Western Hunt Fest, where it's a simulated pack out. So you're taking 280 pounds worth of sandbags around a course, and that course is obviously not flat. It's got some undulation, some hills and declines. And there are guys that come up, former military, and they get all macho and red blooded, and they're like, I'm just going to overload this pack and just redline it. And they'll go out, and 45 minutes to an hour later, they're still out because they overlaunched, right? No matter, they're big and strong, but their bodies are not capable of performing at that altitude, over that kind of a terrain with that type of load on their back, where the guys that are a little bit more sane and logical when they approach the pack out challenge are taking slightly lighter loads,
Or training more appropriately.
right? Or they're training more appropriately.
Exactly.
And they are able to move around that course a lot faster. And that whole idea of, figuring out what my body is capable of doing before I actually practically apply that in the woods is immensely beneficial to the hunter, right? If you put an animal down that's 3 miles from camp, you're not going to sit there and try and overload your system, because it's going to take you 4 hours to get back, and you may not even have everything. Whereas if I took a lighter load, maybe it takes me an hour and a half to get back, but now I can go back and do it again because my body still has enough energy. My muscles are still functioning the right way, and, you take into account altitude and all those other things. And, that whole program is all a science-backed and based program. We're using things like a load speed index, and a lot of that research comes out of the military, from a rucking perspective. So it's bringing in that type of knowledge and empowering those outdoor athletes with that information that allows our program to exist.
Yeah,
That's awesome. Yeah, that's really cool. Y'all apply like science to it, and it's almost in such a way that you're thinking of it from a logistical standpoint of like, what can I, is my body even capable of carrying all this stuff? Or like you said, can I just make 2 trips and I'll even have energy after those 2 trips because I didn't wear myself out, overloaded with pounds and all that. So
right. And the
that's
pack
very
out is
neat.
great, because if you've never packed out an animal and you don't know what it feels like, you can do this effectively without consequence,
Right.
Because you're not going to lose meat, you're not going to be spoiled, you're not going to, you might injure yourself, I guess, but you're learning what that feels like on your body, right?
Absolutely.
And then the other side of it is you're figuring out, what am I capable of doing in a practical real world application, right?
Yeah.
And the third reason you would do it is because you're macho and you want to try and win the competition.
And we
right?
have
We have a few of those
every
guys.
one of those,
Yeah.
right? Which
Yeah,
we've had
of
guys that
course.
go like, well, I like hunting and I just started elk hunting, but I've never done this, right? And then we've had other guys that are like, well, I just want to find out where I'm at, like training wise. And I think that our event is really good for that, which is like, you learn, like, are you where you need to be come September, October, whatever? And then you've got some other guys that have showed up to our events who are like, I'm here to win this freaking thing. Not that
I literally trained for this event.
Yeah, and those guys are built a little different.
And here's an awesome anecdotal piece as well from a Pnuma standpoint, right? Because when you're doing a pack out like this, right, you're relying on your gear to help you get around this course. So at our last event in Bailey, we had two very young athletes, actually the youngest that have ever performed the event. They were 15 and 14 years old.
Yeah.
They showed up in blue jeans and t-shirts and, like a surplus military backpack. And the girl had a like a hiking backpack, like an Osprey or something like that.
Yeah.
And so they attempted the elk challenge, right? 280 pounds, these two, and they were going to try and do it in one trip. And so the timer starts when you touch the sandbags and start packing your bag. So we're watching these guys try and pack and going, this is a total gong show, right? Like that, like sandbags are falling out. They can't zip them up. Then they're trying to get them on, and they, it's too heavy for their bodies to lift. And so then eventually they get everything up. We gave them a little bit of help, and they started walking out. Well, like an hour goes by, and we're like, all right, someone's got to go check on these two kids, right? Because this is getting dangerous. Joel went out and found them, and they had basically stopped because their gear was failing, right? Their bags were falling out of the backpacks wouldn't carry that kind of weight, and so they ended up coming back and effectively not finishing. So that next day we were heading out to the event, and we're like, man, I wish those two kids would show back up, and we'll put them in lighter gear. Or we'll give them the lighter loads. So we have a women's division where they pack out a mule deer. It's like 180 pounds instead of 280 pounds. Yeah. So we're like, I want to see them do the mule deer because I just want to see them complete the course. Well, right before the competition started, we had a Pnuma bag
Creststone.
The Creststone pack that we have been carrying around for a little bit. I bought it a couple years ago. We tested it out. Joel wore it in the field a bunch, and we're like, let's give that pack to that kid and see what happens. So Joel gave him a little crash course in the Creststone and how you use a frame pack, and they fit it to make sure it was right. And they loaded everything up, and they finished in like 30 minutes. They did the whole course in 30 minutes with the correct gear. And so when they got done, everybody's applauding because, obviously these two young kids that failed but came back and got redemption, which was awesome. And then at the end of the event, as a I don't know what to call it, a reward or a surprise or a thank you, whatever it was, we ended up giving that Creststone pack to that kid. And he was eternally grateful because now he can go out in the woods with proper gear and know that whatever he was able to put down, he was going to be able to bring back to camp.
Yeah, that brings up a great point. It's just like what y'all are saying about this industry is I've never seen an industry that's so welcoming and caring about everybody and trying to help. It's like, for instance, it's like that right there, that story would have made it worth it for that whole event. Just hearing about some kids who came out and failed the first day, and they came out the next day, and it's like, hey, if we change a few things here and we kind of can, alter your way of thinking a little bit, you can be successful and you can do this. It's just, you can't slap 250 pounds on your back at 14 and expect to just be able to huff it. You just got to go at it a smarter way.
Yeah. I mean, that was, part of that is age and lack of experience and knowledge, right? But that's the purpose of that event too. By the end of it, that kid was properly equipped and had the correct knowledge for when he goes out into the field. And he had the support of everybody else who was there. Like, they were the youngest at this event by far.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
At 14 and 15 years old. I mean, the average age of the contestants is probably in the mid 30s, with the oldest athletes being in the early to mid 50s, right? Yep. And so the idea that they even had the balls to show up and attempt this challenge in front of everybody else was kudos to them. Yeah. But and then also coming back the second time and not being scared to fail again or potentially fail again, gives a lot of credit to them, but also the community that we are in encourage them. Like, we are very supportive. We're like, we want you to do this and we want you to succeed because that's what this event is about.
Yeah, I'll find some of that because we definitely filmed some of that, and we've got some.
There's some good pictures. I think Mike took some awesome pictures.
And, I'll try and get those and either include them here or we'll share them and obviously tag you guys. So, but I do want to ask you, since we're talking about hunting and we're talking about getting out into the field, talk a little bit about your evolution, because you kind of mentioned when I was talking with Katie, she's like, he's super, pumped about getting more involved in it. Kind of talk
Absolutely.
about your own experience in evolution as far as the hunting world goes, and kind of your
How'd you end up at
involvement.
Numa?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it all kind of, from the very beginning, I kind of grew up and I was more of a fisherman than I was a hunter. Every year, my family goes, we have a family reunion down in Port O'Connor, which is a little city on the coast down in Texas. And we would go there every year and basically fish and kind of have a big fish fry. And that was probably kind of what got me into the idea of like not just fishing, but hunting as well. And then I've always had some buddies growing up that were in it, and probably went hunting maybe once or twice as a kid, didn't thinking anything of it, as far as I wasn't the one shooting the gun, just kind of out there hanging out with them. And then at some point, I had a buddy who asked me to go on like an actual archery hunt with him, and so I sat in a ground blind at 20 yards away from these animals and watching them walk in, and got to watch him, kill a doe and do that experience, and just kind of it clicked that time I went. It was super exciting, get to watch deer come in, that are 20 yards away from you and they have no idea that you're there, and it's a game of being as quiet as you can, and if you do something wrong, they're going to hear you and take off. And so that's kind of what got me into it. And then working for Numa and Los Cazadores, I have a connection with buying a bow, and so I bought a bow, and then went with my buddy a few more times
It's
in
all
that
downhill
in that
from
ground
there.
I was to
blind.
say, don't buy the bow, because that's all downhill.
Yeah, I bought the bow, and then with Numa once again. So I actually got the job from the buddy who took me hunting. He was working for Numa originally. He took a job at another outdoor company and kind of moved along, but I kind of got real big into it, and at some point Numa was looking for another customer service guy, and they hired me on. And when my buddy left, I took over his role of manager, and it gets crazy. But so I got to do that, and man, it's infectious. I don't know what it is, but I'm addicted now, and so everything I'm trying to do is I'm just trying to get more experience. I don't have my own personal hunting lease or anything like that, but moment any of my buddies call, or if anybody has a place, I'm out there and I'm ready to go.
Yeah, that's the thing about Texas, is it's like all private land. There's like very
Exactly.
little public land that you can hunt in Texas, and
Yeah.
completely different than the style of hunting here in Colorado, where there's a
Absolutely.
vast majority of public lands to hunt. So it's a completely different style down there.
Yeah.
That's what I'm finding out is there's so many different styles of hunting across just the United States. Up north, there's a lot of BLM land and just public hunting land. You always have to wear that blaze orange, and it's like just coming from Texas. The Kerrville hunting, that's where I usually hunt, where it's they're free range deer. When they're coming in, I almost feel like they know that you're there because they're twitching and stuff, and you can tell they're extremely skittish. I mean, I shot one or two arrows last season at a few deer, and I'll be honest, I clean missed them. They ducked that arrow real fast.
I've never
and-
missed.
You never miss? Wait a second, weren't we just talking about
Man.
tack?
Oh wait, yeah, no,
Yeah.
sorry.
And those were standing still.
Yeah. No, that's part of it. Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's amazing. You hear people talk about that. Like I jumped the string and whatever. I mean, their senses and awareness and stuff like that. Albeit, what it requires to get to that moment. Because you can be 10, 15, 20, whatever.
You
within
could
your
have
effective
everything
range.
right,
Everything can be right, and there's still
Absolutely.
and
scores.
something goes wrong.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
So,
And
Yep.
also, it's like I'm still new enough to it to where like I do need to get some more experience, probably in my home state of just doing more hunting. But the elk tags
sure.
in Colorado, that's all I'm thinking. In the next 2 or 3 years, I'm going to be trying to pull tags in a lot of different states and try to start
sure.
that thing.
Well, come out and
And,
join us.
yeah.
We'd love to have you on a
Yeah.
hunt.
yeah, man.
I would love to come hunting with you guys. It'd be a great time.
We can make it happen. We
I know a guy.
We talk about it all the time, and it's just kind of expanding. I think, the hard part for us is that, as we approach every season, we have so many different conversations and we meet different people and to try and just get ahead of all that stuff, where we just really have a lot of, I think, desire to hunt with some other folks and see different country and do different styles of hunts and all that stuff. And I think for the last like 3 to 4 years or whatever, it's like we get closer to season, we're like, well, it's just going to be the 2 or 3 or 4 of us or whatever, like it usually is, because it just takes a lot of work, and you know, you almost have to just commit to that stuff. And everybody kind of, I mean, especially I think as you get more into you know, the industry, you know, we talk to guys like Jermaine. You know, Jermaine's a Numa guy too, and I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, and he was kind of like ho-humming a little bit, kind of under the breath about a pretty cool hunt he's doing in Idaho. Well, damn. So,
breaking news.
So it's like, well, so I guess we're not going to, you know, I'd love to try and hunt with you sometime, and that this year's not going to happen. And, you know, so it's like you keep talking to folks, and everybody's making those plans. And, but we're definitely going to keep exploring that, and hopefully
there's a lot of country out there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So
it is crazy how fast it all comes and goes. You know, I feel like it was March not too long ago, and I was like, okay, we got a few more months until hunting season, and all of a sudden I feel like, okay, we're like a month or 2 away from hunting season now, and it's go time, and then it's going to be over before we know it. So
for sure.
It's the same thing when we talk about training, right? Everybody wants to start training when they're thinking about like, oh crap, I'm going hunting next month, I should start training. Like, maybe you should have started 4 or 5 months ago.
Yeah, you should have started.
It's not that easy. It's like, it's beach body season coming up. I think I'll start hitting the gym now. I'm like, yeah, you're a little late to the party.
Yeah, exactly.
You're still going to be fat and disgusting on the beach. It's okay.
And that's where the events have been helpful, I think, for us over the last month or so. It's like Western Hunt Fest, and then 4th of July weekend, I did a bunch of stuff up in the mountains, and then we had TAC, and it's like I went back and looked, and I'm like, I put probably close to 30 to 35 miles on, up in the mountains in the last 3 weeks. And I'm like, probably needed that, because it is getting time, and, start putting some mileage on. And obviously we're in a gym, which doesn't necessarily mean that you work out every single day. It's like, you still have to put in the effort, and you still have to try and find time.
Yeah.
And you still
After
have to,
you train everybody else, then you have to find time for yourself.
Right. So
I'm sure that can be, you're like, I don't want to train myself after I've spent all day training other people. So
yeah.
So but you have to find ways to get it done. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But cool. Well, before we started, you're like, I don't know if I have anything I could talk about for more than like 45 minutes, and we're now.
Yeah.
We're an hour in, Bubba.
We're an hour. Yeah. That's awesome. You guys were, I really appreciate y'all having me on and allowing me to talk to you guys. I'm kind of getting, like I said, I'm new into this and trying to dive in and figure it all out. And it was incredibly easy talking, and I was surprised that it's not, there's a lot to it, but it's not that big a deal.
Nah, it's a conversation
for sure.
Yeah.
So before we sign off here, when do we have a launch date on the new gear?
I think we're pretty much done with the new gear that we have coming out this year. I think much we focused on a lot of solids and lightweight gear this year.
Okay.
We just hired a new gear engineer from Sportsman's Warehouse, and so he right now is going through our entire lineup and couldn't even tell you how many samples he has on his desk right now.
Tweaking and
we have
modifying.
A lot of different things that are in the works, and we're pushing on the accelerator big time.
Yeah.
All right, awesome. Well, you can get your gear at PnumaOutdoors.com. Make sure you use code H3020 at checkout. Save yourself 20% off your first order.
Of course.
Quick little plug right there. And Scott, we appreciate coming on with the podcast here, and hopefully we have some good future conversations as well.
Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely.
Man. Yeah,
thank you guys so much for having me on.
Yeah, we appreciate it. We'll talk soon.
All right, sounds great. Y'all have a good one.